Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasts.
Get ready, because in this episode, we are going to give you actionable steps that you can take to transform your life and to finally break free out of that narcissistic, abusive relationship. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back. This is True Crime Connections, and I'm your host, Tiffany. Today, we are going to talk with John and Melissa, who are narcissist abuse recovery coaches. We are going to learn the steps that you can use to rebound and reclaim your freedom, independence, self-confidence after narcissistic abuse. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
We're so happy to be here tonight. We really are.
Yeah, this is so important. And what I love about you guys is that it doesn't matter where the listeners are on their journey, whether if you want to leave, whether you did leave, you have something for everybody. And that's great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we actually call them journey buckets.
Yeah.
Where you are in your narcissistic abusive relationship, whether you're still in it and want to leave but don't know how. You've just left and are very, very weak and vulnerable and are possibly thinking about going back, which a lot of victims do. Yep. Or you're struggling with recovery. You've left and
you're just stuck.
You're just stuck in recovery. And we love to coach people on recovery.
Yep.
And just wanted to mention, both Melissa and I are survivors of narcissistic abuse, and we both healed and met each other. And so that's kind of what makes it a little bit different, is that we're survivors of it, just like a lot of your audience.
Yeah, it makes us very relatable, because when people are talking about being in a narcissistic abusive relationship, it's almost unbelievable to the outsiders,
right.
Because a narcissist only acts horrible inside the relationship. Outside the relationship, they put this facade on and everyone thinks they're just a perfect person. So when you start complaining about this perfect person, you actually look like the one that has a problem.
Right.
So it makes it very difficult for victims to come forward and actually, tell their story or seek help.
Especially if you don't think anyone's going to believe you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or you doubt your own sanity because they've gaslit you so much.
And a lot of times a smear campaign is going on behind your back that you're not aware of, where your abuser is telling your close friends and family lies about you. We call that the smear campaign, and we can get into that more later, but that can be really disheartening too, because you're trying to reach out to people that you feel like you can trust, but they think something else is going on about you that you don't know about. And that can be really difficult to deal with as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I can only imagine. Thank God I've dated 2 narcissists. I've also dealt with financial abuse. So I know all that. Thank God. I don't think I had any of that going on in the background. I had enough.
Sometimes it's hard to tell, because we always tell people when they say they feel so stupid. It's like, I can't believe I fell for it. I felt so stupid. Why didn't I see things? Why didn't I realize what was going on? And it takes a long time for someone to realize it wasn't their fault. Right. They're not to blame. In fact, there was nothing to see in the beginning. I mean, in the beginning of the relationship, it seems perfect. I mean, that's the only time they ever listen to you, is in the beginning of the relationship. They listen to everything you say. They listen to what makes you happy, what makes you sad, your pet peeves. And they're almost like recording this information, because they're going to start mirroring this perfect person that you just can't believe you were so lucky to meet. You like the same things, you eat the same foods, you like the same music, and it's all a facade. They turn into a different person depending on what relationship they're in, like a chameleon, but an evil chameleon.
Well, and Melissa's ex-narc actually met her in divorce recovery at church, and he was still married with kids.
Yep. Found out later on in
And
life.
divorce recovery
Mhm.
and found out all about her. She was a target and
Yep.
mirrored everything that she said that she had happened to her. And gosh, the same thing happened to me. And boy, let's talk some more because we have so much in common. Can you imagine
Yeah.
somebody going to a divorce recovery at church to meet their next victim? That's what narcissism is all about.
Yeah.
It
That's
really is.
what they do.
And so
Their
you have
heart
to,
is heartless and evil.
right. And so you have to give yourself grace and forgiveness that,
Do we lose her? Oh,
and it is a global problem too.
Yeah.
But so, it happens to people all over the planet. So that was the hardest part for me, Tiffany, was forgiving myself for falling for I had all these red flags. But I ignored them, and to my own peril, really. But that's part of being a victim and going through the trauma bonding and all the things that you do when you go through this. But you can't forgive yourself because you feel like you've been duped. But that's why we always say they're the master manipulators.
Yeah.
They really, really are. And they have this mask on the facade, and you think they're perfect for you.
Right.
And then,
well, why would you not believe them?
Right.
I mean, who would go to such depth to create this delusional person and try to, trick you into believing that's who they are? It's, when you dissect it, it's really, really a disturbing personality for someone to do something like that.
I've always said narcissists have a sniffer. Like, they know. You could be in a bar, you could be anywhere, and they're going to pick out the one person that is going to fall for them. It's just, they know, they have a sense.
Well, and we talk about that a lot. It's a cycle of abuse that people tend to go through. Victims seem to have almost, it's not a victim mentality, but the problem is, Tiffany, is that when people get out of an abusive relationship, they automatically think the cure is finding somebody else, possibly
finding a good person that's going to make them feel better.
And so they haven't recovered properly, and they don't have the strength and self-esteem that you talked about earlier in the interview. They don't have that yet. So it's important when someone comes out of a relationship like this, of the abuse, that they heal, that they become stronger again, so that they can see those red flags and they aren't a victim anymore. They're that strong person that they were before they met their narcissist. And so we really love to coach our clients on exactly how. In fact, we've created our own 10-step recovery process, which is about creating a step-by-step daily action plan that helps people to recover quicker. It's just like any other abuse that you suffer. You have to learn how to heal.
Right.
And so we love coaching. That's what we're really the most passionate about, I think, because we both recovered using these exact same steps. And so we love to coach these steps to our clients and really teach them how to recover mentally, physically, financially, all of those things that can happen during the abuse.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Melissa, do you want to give us a little bit of your background to let everyone know, like, what kind of relationship you were in?
Yes. I actually spent my entire career in the financial industry. So when I met my narcissist in divorce recovery, I had just sold a company. So I was the perfect victim because I had money, but I was also heartbroken from a long-term marriage that turned into a divorce, and I was cheated on. So I was just heartbroken and damaged, and I didn't heal. I wasn't healed. So I had this hole of, I didn't know what happened to my previous marriage and why it fell apart, but I was so heartbroken, I had blinders on. So I did not realize that I was actually being targeted. Had I healed, and if I was comfortable being alone, I might have seen some of the red flags, but he just seemed too good to be true. I mean, we call it love bombing, all these crazy terms that you have to know when you're in a narcissistic relationship, but listening and actually mirroring the perfect person and future faking with you. I mean, planning a future together. I've never felt this way about anyone before. You're so special. I can't stop thinking about you. I mean, when you're not whole and you've got a little brokenness inside of you, what person doesn't want to hear that? And so when you are hearing those things, you are, wow, this guy is so awesome, or this girl is so awesome. So I ended up dating him for a year after that. And there were little weird things that would happen, but nothing for me to go, this is really starting to add up. It was more, well, he must be busy, or it must be because of this, or I bet it's because of that. So it wasn't anything so significant that I started going, okay, this is really not adding up. And then when we got engaged, I mean, everything was elaborate with him. It was over the top romance, over the top. It was almost awkward and embarrassing out in public because it was so over the top. Like, our first date was on a yacht at his lake house. Flash forward years later, the yacht belonged to a deceased woman who he stole the boat from, and the lake house was in foreclosure. And so it was these grandiose, efforts and, rushed engagement, Aruba, the island, the big production on the proposal, which I later found out was a fake diamond. It was just one thing after, gosh, yes. And so then let's move in together. I'm selling my house. Well, it was actually going into foreclosure, but he told me he sold it. So naturally now we're living together. And so, the wedding was, this amazing wedding, and this honeymoon was an amazing honeymoon, all of which got charged on my American Express card. And he said, I'll pay it back out of my business account when we get back. This was like a European 3-week vacation that was like $50,000. He never paid one dime of it back. So 6 months into the wedding, into the marriage, is when the mask came off. And that's when he really started showing his true colors. There's
no reason to hide at that point.
Yeah, because what was I going to do? We didn't have a prenup. We were legally married. And so you're right. There was no reason to hide this behavior. So then he started chipping away at my friends and my family. And, I had such a tight-knit group of people that I've known forever. And so he just started picking off one after the other and finding problems and faults with people. Well, she talks about you behind your back. You probably didn't realize that. And I'm like, oh my God, really? So he just started tearing people away from me slowly. I found myself, 6 months after, like, my friends weren't calling me anymore. My family, thought something was up. Of course, he had started a smear campaign behind my back. And so I was all alone with him. And that's when it gets really scary, because you don't have your support network anywhere. And so that's why John was talking about these steps that we created. It's so critical to do each one of them. And because they isolate you, because you feel devastated, because you feel so alone and ashamed, you generally don't say anything to anyone. You suffer in silence. And they're out smearing your name to everyone because they can sense that you're not okay with things. So you probably would go and talk to somebody, in the circle of friends, not if they've smeared your name, because those friends won't return your phone call. They won't invite you to lunch anymore. They don't return your text messages, and you have no idea why.
Right.
But it's because of that horrific smear campaign.
And that's when the financial abuse starts. That's when the physical abuse starts. That's when the emotional abuse starts. And it just gets worse and worse and worse. And because there is no escape at that point. You're either in business with this person or married to this person. You've had a child with this person. So it's really, really hard to get out of the abuse at that point.
Without more damage, without, like, mine, things were getting so horrific that I finally said, I can't live like this anymore. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're doing with money. He kept lying about different things like that. So I said, I'm going to file for a divorce. Well, that's probably the worst thing you could tell a narcissist, because that means game on.
Game on. War is on. Yep.
I basically handed in my playbook, and he looked at me and he started laughing. Now I'm crying. He started laughing, and he said, well, then pack your bags and get out. And I said, well, we're in my house. This is my house. And he goes, I'm not the one that wants a divorce. I'm not leaving. And he would not leave. So I'm like, my gosh, that's when I became very, 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 very scared.
God, I can identify with quite a bit of that. And it's just crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It is.
I mean, thank God I did not marry mine, but they do, little by little, the real person starts to come out.
Slowly just chipping away at your self-confidence.
Really understand how to even discuss it. We've had Melissa, we have so many clients that have been in therapy and with therapists, and they tell us we learn so much from you all because I feel like you get it. You understand it. Because a lot of times when you're with a therapist or with someone and you're trying to tell them what's going on, well, they think, well, what's your fault or
something from your child
that brought on this abuse. And you're like, this has nothing to do with the victim. This has to do with the abuser. And so it's really difficult for the victim to share with other people because they just can't believe that somebody can actually do these things. And so that's why.
And so then they're embarrassed about it. And because they think that they won't be believed, they suffer in silence. It's such a bad place to be. And that's one of the reasons we created a private anonymous Facebook group, because we never want anyone to have to go through this alone, no matter where they are, where they live. We have clients from all over the globe. We have a private group of like-minded individuals who have been through some type of narcissistic, are either in it, struggling to get out, left, but stuck, or in the midst of a horrible divorce. And you can actually talk to people that know what you're going through. It's like having a chat, a fireside chat with people that really get it. They really understand it. And so we're very protective of that group, but we love having people come in because they even say, thank you so much for letting me in here. This is the first time I actually feel like I can talk openly about what's going on in my life.
That's so important. You can't keep it in. Same thing with me. I would be like, my friends are going to be sick of hearing about what I'm doing. So then I'm ashamed to tell them because they're like, what are you doing? And you're like, my life, trying to make this work, and it ain't gonna work.
Or why'd you go back? You just said how horrible this person was, but now you're back and you're going, but 47% of people go back 7 times.
And that's why our first step in recovery is you have to go. You have to cut them. You got to cut them loose from text, emails,
blocking,
everything. And most importantly too, you can't be looking at their social media to find out what they're doing. I wonder who they're dating now or where they're working. It does not matter about me, what they're saying about. You have to just, we have certain things that we teach people to make sure that they do go no contact. And we always know when they don't, because we don't hear from them for a while and they're like, I bet they went back. And inevitably they did. And it's just hard to make that break because they come back and they start telling you things that you want to hear, that lies. I promise you we'll go to therapy. I promise you we'll go back to church. I promise you I'll change. And that's all to get you back. And so it's hard to go no contact. It really, really is. But it's the most important thing to do. Step one, you have to go no contact because you can't heal if you're still connected.
If you're still, have that brain connection with them, and retraining your brain is part of that transitioning out of what we call a reactive victim into a proactive warrior, is you have to retrain the way you think about things. And you have to actually take control of your brain, because your brain has been controlled by your abuser for Lord knows how long. Some people 30 years of marriage, their brain knows no other way. So by getting that person out of your life, as difficult as it is the only way your brain will allow you to move forward and actually start thinking of other things, positive things that can get you back on the road, to healing and your confidence. So you won't go back.
It's so hard to do, especially because a part of you wants to heal and move on, but a part of you is still like, well, what are they up to?
When you fall in love with them, you can't just turn off your feelings. It's very difficult.
One of mine would make new phone numbers, so he would be contacting me from other phone numbers.
That is Narcissist 101.
They are.
It's like they have a playbook on the room, and one of those is to call you from numbers that you don't know. So
they want you to they want to have that emotional reflection on you, to hear them, their voice, their, what they're saying to you. Because if they're blocked and you can't hear them and you don't see their words, it makes it a little easier to start taking the baby steps moving forward. But when they're in your face, when you see their words, when you hear their voice, it's impossible. It literally is impossible to cut that attachment.
Agreed. John, how about you? What about your past experience?
Well, it's mine was further in the past, probably about 20 years ago. And, in the early 2000s, we had no clue what a female narcissist was and what they were capable of. So I'm going through this and I'm like, what in the world is this? Is this woman crazy? I mean, I had no idea, but it was too late in our relationship. It wasn't until Johnny Depp brought it to the forefront, 5, 6 years ago, that people started saying, my God, here's this beautiful woman, an actress, but she's putting this guy through hell and trying to destroy his life.
Yeah.
Why would someone do that? And that's what female narcissists are capable of, absolutely destroying your life. We have male clients, very, very strong men, successful men, that we have to help them stay out of prison because they're being charged with felonies because of the lies. They've lost everything. They've lost their kids in their previous marriage, all sorts of horrible things. Mine, again, I met mine in church. It seems to be a place that you have to be careful with. People find, because people go there to try to find their targets.
Like
anyway,
you think you can trust the people that are there.
So you kind of have your guard down.
You think they're like you. So you do have your guard down.
So we dated for a long, long time, years, because I just didn't feel really, really good about certain things, but I was being manipulated all the way through. And so I finally kind of gave into the ultimatums, and that we needed to move forward with our relationship. And so we got married. And after a couple of weeks, Tiffany, the mask came off and I saw her for who she really was. I saw glimpses of it along the way, and that's what kind of kept my distance. But when you're married, it's too late. Yeah. And so that mask falls off and you're like, my gosh, this is the person that I've been glimpsing along the way. And now I see her in all her colors. So mine was more of a financial abuse. There was some emotional abuse too, but primarily financial abuse. Once they get their hooks into you, they want to take as much from you as they can. And so, like Melissa said, what my mistake was, after a short period of time, several months, I said, look, I think we've made a mistake. I think we should get a divorce and just move on with our lives. Well, that's when the war starts. And the smear campaign against me started. She told all my friends and family that I was physically abusing her. And that's why she wanted the divorce. Yeah. So it's a horrible thing for a man to go through, because how does a man go, I'm not abusing her? That's ridiculous. I'm not, so then all of a sudden you're defensive about it. You can't believe that she's told all these people. And so that's a horrible thing. And then mine tried to extort money from me. The only way that she would divorce me is if I gave her a certain amount of money. And if not, we were going to court. And it's hard for a man sometimes in the court of law when they're dealing with a female narcissist, because female narcissists are brilliant actresses. They really are. Cry at the drop of a hat. So she would have had any judge or jury eating out of her hand. Yeah. So basically, we went to mediation. I found out what's the least amount I can pay this woman to leave me. And I had to write the check. And it was the hardest thing I ever did, Tiffany, the hardest thing I ever did, because I felt so duped. I knew better. I'm an intelligent guy. I was a successful businessman. I just could not believe that I went through that. And there's a lot of men out there that feel the same way, that have gone through this and just don't know where to go to talk to somebody that can relate to them. And that's why we're here. And that's why we've created all our social media channels and our website. And
all of our resources.
All our resources is to help people that just don't know where to turn at this point and can't begin to recover because they can't forgive themselves. That was the hardest part for me, was learning to forgive myself for being so manipulated and going through this. And it wasn't until I joined a support group of like-minded men that really taught me how to forgive myself and how to move on and become the man I needed to become to meet a woman and marry a woman like Melissa. I didn't have a chance if I had stayed the way I was.
Neither one of us.
Neither one of us.
Yeah,
there's so much hope in the future. If some of your listeners in your audience are struggling right now because they just feel like they're just a shell of who they were before, there's so much hope out there.
It really is.
And we can really help.
And it's so step by step. I mean, some people think, I feel so overwhelmed. I don't know where to begin. I don't know what to do. Well, just taking one step. I mean, that one step is a big one. And then, every single thing that we offer is a guided step-by-step process. And we'll never let go of their hand. We'll just drag them right on with us through that journey to the other side. So they are never alone. And I mean, we cry with our clients. We cheer them on when they get a divorce and they get the big check, when they're, a narc said, you're not going to get anything. You're going to be living on the street, So it's, there is life after narcissistic abuse. You just have to, just reach out and ask for help, because there are people, you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. So that's why we created this company.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. And it's very rare that you hear a man talk about a narcissistic woman. Usually, unfortunately, it's usually the men, but there definitely are women out there. There's bad eggs. It doesn't matter who you are, where it does not matter.
Yeah.
And they're calculating and conniving, like his opened up a bunch of credit card debt while they were going through the divorce, but was making the minimum payment. So he didn't know anything about it. She charged the move and a bunch of new furniture on credit cards when she left. Isn't that horrible? He found out about it after the fact when she stopped making the payment, that she charged all this stuff the day she left per the divorce on credit cards that she opened up as in. So we talk about freezing your credit, identity theft protection, all of those things, because just because you get them out of your life doesn't mean they can't harm you still, like mine did. Insurance theft, identity theft, credit card fraud as well. So a lot of our programs, especially our financial program, has a lot to do with protecting yourself when you do leave, because you just don't know when they'll strike again, because they know everything about you. They know your social security number, they know your address, your income, your full name. So they know
Social
everything.
security number.
Yeah, they know everything about you, that they could just open up credit cards.
That's scary. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So please don't tell me you guys met at church.
No, we did it. We actually met through a mutual friend, someone who actually worked for me for 25 years. He was actually an employee of mine for 25 years. He was like a family member to me, and John went to college with him. And so he knew us separate from each other, and he also knew what we had both gone through. And I was like on that warpath of, I'm never dating another man. I'm never going to be in another relationship. All men are evil. So when I ventured out, having a date or two here and there, I would be too afraid to go on the second date. And so I remember I was actually on a date, and he texted me and he said, I know you're on a date. I know you're not going to go out with that guy again, whoever he is, but I have somebody I want you to meet. And he said, you're just 5 minutes down the road, get in your car, drive over here, and I want to introduce you to someone. And I said, my gosh, is this a hookup? Is this a blind date? What is going on? He goes, no, it's just friends, no pressure. So I did. I went, drove there and met them. And it was really funny because John's best friend was with him when he ran into, the employee of mine that he hadn't seen for years. And so his best friend is the one who first came up to me. And I thought, wow, he's good looking, and I'm like talking to him. And all of a sudden John stands behind him and takes him by the shoulders and moves him out of the way. And then just gets right in my face. And so I'm like, wow, okay. So, and that was it. That night, we had been single forever. And that night we've not been apart since. It was 10 years ago.
It's an amazing way to meet somebody, is a mutual friend introducing you. Of course, we all would hope for that.
Yeah. It's
such a great way. And
not common.
The problem is, in today's dating world, so many people meet people online.
Yeah.
And so there's no filter online. You get this story of whoever they are. I mean, they can make up something. And so it's very problematic for people that are starting to date again when they meet somebody online, because do I believe this person's lie? Do I not? How do I know? And so it's really, really critical that when you are dating somebody and you meet somebody online, that you do a background check. We recommend this to all of our clients, and I'd like to just recommend that to some of your listeners if they're doing that. And people think that just doesn't sound like it's very trusting for me to do a background check on somebody when I'm first starting dating.
It's like you trusted the first one, and look what happened.
But if Melissa had used this company, this service, it would have saved her hundreds of thousands.
I would have never gone on the second date.
Never on the second date. So, but also conversely, if everything that they've told you shows up just like it is, you're like, hey, you know what? I'll go on a second or third date or whatever.
And it's anonymous. They never know you did it. But arrest records, if they're a sex offender, if they have judgments, bankruptcy, tax liens, anything that's filed against them in public records that you would not know to search is on this report. So if somebody's got and mine had all of those things, IRS liens, bankruptcy, judgments, criminal arrests, DUIs. Of course, I didn't pull it then, but if I would have seen all of that, I would never have gone on the second date. I would not have gotten invested with my heart with this person, because obviously very, very bad character, very dangerous person. So why not save yourself that heartache? Again, if you can look at their record, and if they're, you don't have to you don't tell them that you looked at their record, because they don't know that you did it. You can just say, you know what, I'm just not ready to date. I thought I was, but I'm not. That's it. They don't have to know what you've done, but you've just dodged a bullet, so.
Oh, for sure. I recommend that to everybody, anyone as well, because, that could save you some time, some heart.
If you weren't fortunate enough to meet somebody like a mutual friend introduced you who knows each person, which is kind of rare, unfortunately, but that we always recommend Truth Finder, and I'll make sure that we give you the link so that you can share it. But it's just such a great company, and we recommend it to a lot of our clients.
Yeah.
So did you still do a background check on each other?
No, we didn't. We took our friend's word.
Yeah, we took our friend's word.
John could beat him up, and he worked for me, and I could fire him. So I think he was too nervous to lie to either one of us.
And we're still great friends.
We are.
We just spent last week with him, with he and his wife,
out on their lake,
after 10 years, and so it's amazing. So, but so it's just been great. But it's so possible for anybody that
it is,
to go through this horrible situation, but find your true dream life on the other side of getting through it. So
it is absolutely possible. And it's just taking one step at a time, just one small step at a time. And sometimes that first step's always the hardest, but once you get going, and that's the reason we created so many different programs, just depending on where people are in that relationship.
And that's why our company is called Victim to Warrior, because that's exactly what we love to do, is take people that are victims and turn them into warriors. And so that's what we do. That's our social media channel handles. And that's kind of a neat thing too. I just want to share that one more thing with your audience is check out our social media channels, our TikTok channel, our Instagram. We love to do reenactments.
Oh yeah, our skits.
And sometimes,
and they're true. They actually happen to us.
Sometimes people will comment and say, you know what, I had no idea this was going. Now I see it. Now that I can see it. So we love doing these reenactments for people so that they can really fully see what it looks like. And then we coach through it too. Like, hey, if this is going on with you, this is the best way to handle this or whatever. So
people are in denial, and they make excuses for bad behavior, and they make excuses for things going wrong in a relationship. But when someone can see what actually happens in a narcissistic abusive relationship, and they can actually go, oh my gosh, did you were you in my house with a camera? Was that my dad? I mean, we get that a lot. The people just completely relate to actually seeing it. And so it is a little triggering, because it is true stories about what happened to us. But if it helps people, then you know what? It's worth it.
For sure. I mean, I think I could have used you guys back in the day.
It's so funny, Tiffany. We have so many people that will comment and go, my God, where were you 10 years ago? A couple of years ago when I was first going through my divorce, or when I was trying to leave, where were you? So
I can already be on my freedom.
Yeah, so we hear that a lot, Tiffany, believe me.
I can only imagine. What are your 10 steps?
Well, you'll have to find out.
Ooh.
I'm just teasing. Let me just give you a quick summary, because we do have our 10 critical steps to healing. We have 12 critical steps to take before you leave, if you're still in the relationship. Important things like checking for tracking devices, freezing your credit, opening up a separate bank account, having an emergency fund, all of those important steps. So we have 12 steps to take if you're still in the relationship and want to leave but don't know how. So you can find that on our website, thv2w.com. But the 10 steps to take, it really encompasses, again, the first step is you have to go no contact. You have to cut that cord. You have to be able to heal. And then we talk about steps that are about emotional healing
Yeah.
that include meditation and journaling, because journaling is so critical to get those toxic things out of your brain and onto paper. And the important thing about journaling is that the brain allows you to forget pain, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain. So you a couple months go by and you're like, maybe it wasn't so bad.
Especially if
Maybe,
you haven't blocked them.
Yeah, and it
trickling back
causes you
into
to
your
go to
life.
back. But then we also want to recover physically, because a lot of people, they haven't exercised in a while. They haven't been able to. They've been in this abusive cycle, so they haven't been doing the things they need to do to be physically strong. So we want to go with several steps on how to do that. There's financial recovery as well that we talk about. And then the really cool one is, and I love this one, is finding your passion again. Because what is life if there's not something that you're passionate about that you're doing repeatedly? Yeah. And so just a quick story about Melissa. Her passion was painting. She hadn't painted in years and years. And so
there was no room for my painting and my narcissist, because he took up every drop of my time. So
now she's been able to rediscover that passion, and she loves to paint, and she'll go into her studio and just paint for hours. And so it's amazing. There's so many victims out there that go, you know what? I never thought about that. I love to sing, or I love to dance, or I love yoga, and I haven't been able to do that. Or there's so many things that are taken from us when we're in an abusive relationship. And so rediscovering that passion is one of the critical steps that we love to coach through.
It's a reward for who you are and what you gave up, and you can get it back. And it does make you feel really, really good about yourself. It's like you are a warrior. You survived this, and you came out on the other end as a thriving warrior instead of a reactive victim. Mm-hmm. And so we definitely let people know, you know what, that is the light at the end of the tunnel, because you're worth it. You deserve it. You deserve to go back to what made you happy, what you were so passionate about before it was ripped away from you.
Right.
Everyone deserves to be happy. You should be allowed to like what you like, to do what you want to do. Anytime somebody tries to hold you back from your passions, that's a red flag.
Something that we always said, we want victims to reclaim and rebuild their lives and become warriors. We love doing that. We love seeing that transition in our clients, and we see it every single day. Yeah. It's an amazing thing to see. And that's what makes us so passionate about what we do, because we actually see the transformation, and it's incredible. So
we celebrate wins with them. We cry with them. Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. And that's the strength that comes out of it, and that they give one another in our private Facebook group. They are just, they reach down here. I got you, come on up. We're going to get you out of this hole. So the stronger they get, the more they gravitate to the one where they used to be. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're so proud of our private Facebook group. So
community is everything. You have to realize that you're not alone. This does happen to a lot of people, and it happens to good people.
Yes.
Good people are the ones who are targeted.
Yeah. Global. Yep. It is. They want something from you. So I always tell people, it's the winners they go after. They do. I mean, they see you, they know that you've got your shine, you've got your personality, you've got, maybe you've just got a great heart, you've got a great network of friends, maybe you have money. There's always something there. It's never about you. It's about what you have that they can take from you. And that's the sad part. So they can't take something from someone. That person's not going to be a victim of at least abuse. Yeah,
for sure. But that's like the crazy thing to me though, too, because clearly we're like, you could tell like my self-esteem had to be down low. So it's like they saw me as a winner, but knew I was broken.
Yeah.
So it was
they knew your weak areas. They knew where you had what we call cracks in your armor, where they can actually, and that's, when you are not whole and happy and can just be happy being alone, which a lot of times no one wants to be alone.
We're humans. We like to have connection.
Sometimes we just do it too quickly and we're not ready.
Yeah. Well, when they rush too, that is a big red flag because there's no need to rush. Like I've had people on my show, like day 3, he's talking marriage. Like, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, you're right. There is no reason to rush. If you're rushing, there is a problem with that.
We did a funny, we call them series where we do skits, and we'll do a promo, and then we'll do 3 examples of what that looks like. And we did do that with
love bombing,
and,
like on the
and
first date.
future faking. And so it's so funny. It's if people want to see it, it's on our TikTok channel, and you just it was hard for me to get through it, Tiffany, because I'm the one that wants all this on our second date, and I'm like, I can't believe you don't feel this
connection. And I can't even keep a straight face.
We actually built a blooper reel for our
because sometimes we lose it. We do lose it.
And so it's it's so ridiculous when you're actually trying to get through it.
Yeah.
And it's like people actually do it. They actually do this. They want to get married after a couple of dates, or you're my person I've always dreamed of. My soulmate.
Felt anyway about
it really is.
But
amazing.
the crack in the armor, that's how they get in.
Yeah.
Because they say these things that you're like, this is my soulmate. This is absolutely the person I've been waiting for, and it's actually the devil.
This is everything you want to hear, and you're like, yes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want to hear those things?
Exactly.
So you talk about financial planning. So one of my abusers would not allow me to work. How would you help someone else who was kind of in that situation be able to be financially ready to leave if they didn't have anything?
That happens all the time.
Yeah, it
really does. Yeah.
Well, and it's getting you to stop working is a way for them to control you, because you can't do anything without money. So slowly taking you, why don't you stay home? I'll take care of you. You just take care of the house. I'll take care of everything else. And it slowly starts happening. So what we hope is that people that are watching our channels, watching our skits, if they're in the early parts of this, what we tell people is don't give up your independence. If you are going to be a stay-at-home person, at least have your own bank account, or demand to have, access to the bank accounts and your own credit card and your own debit card. If you can stop it in the beginning before you relinquish all rights and they take everything, control everything, it becomes much, much harder to actually leave. And that's why, John, we talked about the 12 critical steps to take before you leave, because we actually coach people on how to create an emergency fund so they can leave,
even when they're not employed too.
Yeah.
And
they don't have
the
access to money.
To do.
It's very, very difficult.
It really is. And
you have to be very strategic about things.
Yeah.
And it takes
it's possible to get, a remote job that you just work a couple hours a day or a couple hours a week to start putting money away.
Get gift cards at the grocery
stores,
at extra $10 or something like that, and start stashing them. When you get gifts in the kids, graduation presents or whatever, stash them. There's more important things to do with that money in the future than, whatever you could buy with that right there.
Right.
So you just have to be strategic, but that's the reason we list out these steps so people know what to do, because getting that emergency fund separate from your narcissist in a different bank is a big step.
Yeah. Tiffany, we actually have a whole series that we did on financial abuse so people can see what it looks like. It doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow process. Like Melissa said, hey, why don't you quit your job and just stay at home and take care of the kids or that type of thing.
You don't need your
I'll take care of all the finances. So why don't you close your checking account or why don't you
put your paycheck in their checking account? Why do we need two? Just put everybody's their paycheck in one checking account.
Right.
Well, there you are. You're putting your paycheck into a checking account that you're not going to have any access to.
Right. So yeah, it's a horrible problem, because when you're financially abused, you can't leave even when you want to.
Right.
We hear that all the time. I wish I could leave. I can't. I don't have any money. And so that's part of the abuse, unfortunately, Tiffany. And you mentioned that you suffered from that right at the beginning of this. You said, hey, I suffer financial abuse. That's a hard thing to get through.
It is. It really, really is.
And it can take years to recover from.
Well, I think I'm still working on it.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's really sad. They can definitely take everything from you. I mean, it took us both years to recover financially.
And Melissa, as a 40-year veteran of the financial industry and has coached thousands of women in financial empowerment seminars. And so we've actually put together a whole series on financial abuse, and it's on our website, but it's a 6-video series with a 47-page workbook, really helping people to recover. And it's just not financial abuse.
Recover and rebuild.
It's financial hardships too, because, you know, a lot of people are suffering right now through financial hardships. And so it's just a way to try to claim back and become financially empowered no matter what's going on in your life right now. So that's a really, really awesome thing that we've put together. And yet don't have a better coach on finances than Melissa. Really, she's amazing. So we love to have that available for people.
Definitely.
You need to, like, you're lost. You feel stuck. There's nothing worse than feeling stuck.
Yeah.
No.
That's
And
exactly right.
And sometimes you feel like you're in a massive hole.
Yeah.
And there's no way to get out. And the more you try to get out, the deeper you dig and so you have to have a strategic plan to be able to get through that and get out of it. And so that's why we've really put that together. Just like the feeling you when you said that, your eyes rolled, because it's a brutal thing to go through.
It is brutal.
And so sometimes, and if you don't have the expertise, you just don't know where to start.
Right.
And so some people, they're so overwhelmed, they just don't do anything.
Right. They're paralyzed. Yeah. And being paralyzed means that that's where you're going to stay. You're going to stay like that. Yeah. And so, you know, breaking out of that shell, it's the reason we've made our resources and our programs so step by step and guided, because we don't want anyone to, you know, hand them something and say, well, hey, go read this. This will help you out. We just take little tiny baby steps and just help them along the way so they don't feel overwhelmed, so their brain can absorb what we're saying and they can implement this one step. And everyone's timeline's different. Yeah. I mean, we've got recovery programs that people like, I want to do your life transformation
in 30
days. And that's when people are out of the relationship and they're wanting to get their life back. And then we have people that are in the 12 critical steps planning their exit strategy. That might take longer. It just depends. But strategically planning safely will help them get out and stay out.
No.
So.
I love this. I really do. I think what you guys have done is amazing. And I think so many people could benefit from it. Absolutely. There's more narcissists than we need.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yes. We like outreach. You know, 2 million people a month actually Google narcissism. So there is a huge global problem about it. So.
Unfortunately, I do think some people get labeled as a narcissist that aren't, like, it kind of got taken away.
Yeah.
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 We actually did a series on narcissists versus narcissistic traits.
Yep.
Because a lot of people have traits. It doesn't make them a narcissist.
Yep.
If you are a true narcissist, then you actually have no emotion. You have no sympathy, no empathy. You cannot create your own emotions. You don't care if someone's on fire, you'll just walk right over them.
Right.
But having narcissistic traits, you might be the most frustrating a-hole ever, but you still have emotion. You know, you still feel bad about certain things. So we actually did skits on that. And then we have a questionnaire that people can go through and find out who are they with. They know they're with someone bad. They just don't know which side they're on.
And they want to know, is there can this person be fixed?
Yeah.
If not, and so that's the thing too. If they're a true narcissist, there's no cure.
No cure.
And so no amount of therapy or anything like that is gonna fix it. But if they just have certain traits, that can be worked on if they want to work on it. Like Melissa said, we have this phenomenal questionnaire on our social media sites and our link tree that is just, it's called, Are They a Narc? And it's just a questionnaire. It's a page and a half of just questions. You go through there, you tell them the number, and it kind of lets you know what you're dealing with. Right. And it's a freebie that we have, and it's an eye opener for people, because they're like, my gosh, I didn't realize
they have
this
all
person
of these
is
traits.
this. So it's a phenomenal tool. So please let
it's free.
Let your listeners know they can go to any of our social media channels, Victim to Warrior, and pick up one of those questionnaires in our link tree.
Yeah.
And take that quiz, and you'll know.
You will know.
Yep.
I love that. And I love quizzes. I might take it just for fun.
Yeah.
I'll be like,
it
is. It's very, very eye-opening, like John said.
Yeah.
So on your social medias, is it spelled out Victim to Warrior, or is it the V2W? So
either way. Yeah. Victim to Warrior is how you find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. Mm-hmm. Any of those social media platforms, and our private Facebook group. If people are interested about that, please go to our website, v2w.com, And just on the bottom of our homepage, it says join our community, and you just click there. You can't find it by going to Facebook. That's the beauty of it. It's totally anonymous. It's hidden. And you don't have to use your real name. You can use something
join
else.
anonymously, but we do vetting,
right.
To make sure we're not letting,
So that's a baby step. If someone's suffering right now and they just feel isolated and alone, just go to our website and click on
join our group.
Join our group. And there's all sorts of other resources there. Our free masterclass. There's our
survival
kit ebook, and our one-on-one phone calls that can really help people that need hand-holding. And we're happy to do that. So please check out our website but join our Facebook group. If you're really struggling right now and you feel isolated and alone, you're not. You don't have to go past this point alone and isolated. You can be in a group of we have
thousands,
over 1,200 people in our private Facebook group right now. Just people that are so available 24/7, no matter when you are like, you wake up in the middle of the night, I'm like,
somebody is on there
and willing to help. So it's a great platform.
Is it still good? Like, say if you're out of it, but you want to help other people.
We have people that are out of it that stay in the Facebook group. They've actually gone through the programs and they'll join our TikTok lives and to help others because they know how isolating it is. So we have people on there that have already divorced, they're 3 years out, and they tell people this is freedom. You can actually smell the coffee, you can breathe the air and see the sunshine.
That's actually part of the healing process too, is helping others.
It is.
It makes you feel so good about the experiences you went through. Helping somebody else with that doesn't make them feel so bad anymore. You're like, look, let me share what happened with me. It might help you to feel better or to heal. So we have lots of people in there that have recovered, like Melissa said, and love to help others and are so willing to help others. Good information. So we love that.
Really proud
we're really proud of that group. It's taken a while to build it. But we're so possessive of that group. We're so protective.
And the members are protective. If there's anybody in there that shouldn't be, man, they rat them out.
We get them out of there.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why I do this podcast, because this stuff needs to be brought to light. Because when I was going through it, there's no such thing as a narcissist. Gaslighting, you getting gas at a gas station? None of this existed. All of a sudden, everything started coming out, and it was like, my God.
These people are actually walking among us. A lot of them, millions of them.
And then it's like, well, then what do you do?
Right.
It's like,
now that you know what you're dealing with, it's like, now what do I do? Now that I know I'm not the crazy one, now what?
My God, yes. I got told I was crazy every day. And I'm like, you are the one making me crazy.
Crazy, insecure, jealous. That didn't happen. My gosh. Yeah, they will do a number on your mind.
That's why the emotional recovery is the first couple of steps in our process, because until you start healing emotionally, nothing else really matters. And so we really want to start working on those things daily through meditation and through journaling and those types of things, to really start building up that self-esteem again and really starting to heal emotionally before we focus on going to other things. But you know exactly how that is, because once you've been torn down, you're just a shell of who you were before, and you're extremely vulnerable. And so we love to focus on those steps to begin with.
And building people.
I told constantly I was ugly, fat, and gross. So it took a long time to rewire that.
And you're none of those things, Tiffany. You're none of those things. But isn't that crazy that we have to, the things that Melissa went through, it breaks my heart and
the person that you fell madly in love with, that you thought you were going to spend the rest of your life, literally turns into the worst possible enemy you could ever have on the planet. That is how sad it is. You're like, I cannot believe this person who, here I am, taking daggers to the heart, and they are just that. Like I said, if you're on fire, they'll just walk right over top of you. They don't even, it's just so disturbing how they could just disconnect and it doesn't bother them. If it's an inconvenience to them, they're not going to do it.
Right. Absolutely. I'm going to make sure I add all your links to the show notes. So people need to find you. It's easy. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to share?
No, just there's hope. There's hope. If you want to connect with us, we will absolutely take you under our wing.
Yeah. If someone wants to connect with us, just go to one of our social media channels.
DM us.
And DM us.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a great way. Yeah. Or you can connect with us on our website too. There's a connect area there too, to send us a message. And we'll just tell you what resources are best for you, or to set up a call, or whatever we can do to help. But yeah, check out our social media, because that's a great first step, and join that private Facebook group. Really can get people moving in the right direction. And that's so what we want with
and sometimes they just need that, that handout, and to know that it's not hopeless. Yeah. They can get through it, and they can have a happy life and a happy future, and get their freedom back and get control of their life back. It's possible.
Yes, you can have the marriage of John and Melissa. Power couple.
I put Mary way over my head. I know all your audience is like, how did this guy get hurt? So awesome. It is. We're so lucky. We are
very lucky.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. This hit very close to home.
I think we all know somebody who can benefit.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us on your show.
Sure to share it with them.
It's been awesome for us.
Thank you
appreciate
guys
it. We do.
So
not a problem.
much for listening to my podcast. This really means a lot to me. If one of my episodes has helped you in any way, I would really like to know. It's important for me to know that the work that I'm doing is actually helping people. If you want more of me, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram and TikTok. If you or anyone you know is in need of national hotlines, please go to truecrimeconnections.com. I have all the phone numbers there listed for anything that you could possibly imagine. All right, my Renowned Roots community, keep building hope and gaining strength. Until next time.